we're here with my new guest for today. Um, we're going to be talking about art, which is different than what other stake pool operators do, and I think it's fantastic. So we have a totally different perspective on how Cardano is bringing changes and things to the world too. So um, with that, can you introduce yourself and kind of give us a brief kind of background as to like what you're kind of about?
Sure. Thank you for having me. My name is Rocky Lewicki. I run the NOWgrantsARTISTS Stake Pool. And I've been making and studying art for the last 25 years. And I started in photography and switching mediums. I got into clay pretty early along at a local community college.
Mhm.
And then ever since I touched clay from day one, I've been like completely hooked. So it's been 25 years of making pots and having my hands in clay. And so it's been just a really amazing ride and journey for me. Most of my work is clay. I do a lot of installation, site-specific pieces that relate to the environment that they're in, audience interactive pieces that include participation from the community. And then I also do, work with other mediums like plaster and wood and metal or really anything that fits my idea,
Mhm.
right? So I have like this magic in my head that I think is pretty cool. It's powerful to me,
Mhm.
or it has a message that I feel is powerful. And then for me, like, how am I going to make that tangible?
Mhm.
And for me, that's going to be to pick out a medium that best represents that idea.
Right.
I've even worked with just like paper and blood, my own blood that I just kind of like dabbed into the paper because that was the best material for my expression.
Mhm.
But I always come back to clay. I just love it. So yeah. So behind me, I have this new kind of cup wall that I made, and it's cups from me, cups from friends, and I just love like living with my work,
Mhm.
and it just like quality of life to me is really accelerated when I'm using handcrafted goods that friends and family have made.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you build the shelving unit as well?
Yeah, it's a little janky, I
Oh, I
kind of
love
just,
it. No,
it's just for my house, so I'm not like selling or anything. So like, I'm just gonna put it together.
no, you know
Thank
what? Like,
you.
I love it because I love things that are asymmetrical. So that's totally like my
Cool.
style. And so like I love all of the lines and the different spaces and things like that. It's really cool.
Cool. Thanks. I appreciate that.
So do you also have a little bit of a technical background as you're like an artist, but then you also do you have some technical experiences when you're getting into this stake pull stuff and Cardano and all
Yeah, that's a great segue. So I originally, when I got into Cardano and kind of got hooked on the core missions of Cardano,
Mhm.
I I was going to set up an endowment where I could hopefully gather some funds from friends, and more friends and more friends,
Mhm.
and try to create like a pocket of ADA whereby I could take the interest, and wrapped assets, everything that we're working with, and then use those funds to create like awards for artists and endowment for artists through that.
Mhm.
And then as I got deeper and deeper into it, I had the ideas like, why don't, it's funny because my dad actually mentioned, he's like, Rocky, why don't you just start a stake pool? And like, my dad is like, the least technical, has no idea what's going on, what even Cardano is.
Mhm.
And and then he's like, why don't you do it? And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. It's not my bag. And then so I just decided to, kind of go over that possibility. And so anyway, I, have employed my sort of a technical operator that does that sort of half and for me and
Mhm.
keeps the pool rolling smoothly.
Mhm.
And then so we communicate back and forth. And then I'm kind of more of the backbones of the marketing and the project purpose
Okay.
and whatnot.
Okay.
But my excitement for Cardano, I think, is just like outrageous in terms of what we can do for the world and how we can change it. And for me, just holding ADA is not enough. I want to even push that further and help secure the network and just be a part of this community on a deeper level.
Mhm.
It's really like when I was talking about art just a second ago. When I touched clay for the first time, like something came over me, and I was like, I was home. I was where I needed to be, even though I didn't know where I needed to be.
Mhm.
And when I started researching Cardano, I mean, I was researching just crypto as an investment and then came along to Cardano in
Mhm.
Charles. And when that happened, I had a very similar feeling and reaction that I
Mhm.
was like, holy shit, like this is crazy, like it just totally enveloped me. And so that's how it kind of started. And then I just propelled from there.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like I had the same kind of like feeling when I first saw maybe a few of his videos, like of course the famous whiteboard video, the TED
Mhm.
talk and everything going forward. But there's a few things that like he says in his videos that I just have the same kind of like vision for what I would like to see in the world for the future because the world is so like broken and it's just gonna get worse if nothing happens, no big like catalyst change, right? Not to overuse
Yeah,
the word catalyst, but in the actual like definition of the
sure.
word, but like nobody's stepping forward to make those changes, and so like I think that this is awesome, like what they're trying to do, you know.
It's
Um,
hard to make those changes, though. It's like,
mhm,
we only have so much power as individuals. And even, on the upper levels, you know, we have these lobbyists, right, who are basically controlling the direction of the government. And so even if, we have this grand idea and this great way to proceed, like there's not a whole lot we can do about it because it's going to get shut down by the people who are making the money to
yeah.
keep it the way it is.
Mhm,
And so this is kind of the back door, Cardano. It's a way to get in and really do some serious damage to that system,
mhm.
right? That dominant system. Uh, yeah. So it's really, it feels kind of rebellious a little bit. It's cool.
It is because it's really going against what's already socially accepted and in place as far as governments are already constructed, and
Mhm.
like we've said for years that we need change, but change is hard when it's so deeply ingrained into the society, and like where do you even begin if you take this piece away, then something else just fills that void, or it's hard to take this away because then you have like a section of power and where does it go. It's bad, you know. So um it just needs to be totally like gutted out and rebuilt from the ground up, you know, but you can't do that, right? So
Completely, or I mean, I think it was Andreas who talked about like this inversion of the internet
mm,
and how we're like, we had this inversion where, the data of the internet could no longer go through the phone line. And
mm,
then like AOL dial up, it was like,
mm-hmm,
and then it's like trying to stream through this tiny little system.
yeah,
And so when you invert that, it actually, now we have obviously the phone lines that are going through the internet. It
mm-hmm,
just complete sense. And the same thing for cryptocurrency and blockchain technology,
yeah,
right? In the financial institution. So we're at the very beginning of this like long-term 20, 30-year inversion
mm-hmm,
where we're at the very, 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 very beginning. And that's like really exciting to see
yeah,
that and what's going to happen. We have an idea, speaking for Cardano, we have an idea of where we want to be in the next 5 years. It's kind of laid out.
yeah,
Excuse me. But after that's where things could get really exciting, right? The things we can't even fathom that's going to happen in the 5, 10 to 15, 20 years down the road.
mm-hmm.
So it's pretty cool to be a front runner on that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I mean, like I'm gonna date myself here. I don't know how old you are, but you look like you're similar age to me. But like I remember when I was young and my dad had like satellite phone or whatever, and he was a high rank officer in the military, so he had to be on comms all the time. So even when we went to fishing, he had to take his box suitcase, satellite phone with us. And now look at where the technology is, and that's 20 years, so that, and then but now everything is built on already existing technology, so it just goes so much faster, like exponentially faster, and how it's being developed. And so for us, like developing new things, like how 5 years is the developments are going to be huge, so where we can go,
Yeah,
all the avenues
accelerate.
that are possible. So um,
Totally.
but yeah, so also like very interesting. You kind of like touched on another one of the questions I wanted to ask you, but like so your history or your background in learning art and coming into all of that, how does that link to crypto? Like, how did you come into crypto?
So in 2012, I got a grant. I live in Santa Cruz, California,
Hmm.
and the county of Santa Cruz offers a grant every other year for $20,000 to an artist. And so I was the 2012, 2013 recipient of that Rydell Fellowship.
Hmm.
And so I had 20 grand that was unconditional. So I could use it for making a show. I could use it to building an art studio. I could give it away to a homeless person, whatever I wanted to do.
Hmm.
So I used like $15,000 for the show that I was guaranteed at the museum in 2 years. And then I had $5,000 that I wanted to invest. And I've been pretty broke my whole life. And so that was like a lot of money, $5,000. And so I was really trying to take my time and research. And I was in between. Bitcoin was about like 12 or $13 at that time. And silver was at like 32 or $35 an ounce.
Hmm.
And so I was kind of going back and forth. Of course, I should have chosen Bitcoin, but I did silver and got into it. But I was really following Bitcoin,
Hmm.
and then got sort of woven into that culture and the possibilities. After that, I invested a little bit into Peercoin, and that was one of the first proof of stake technologies.
Hmm.
And I was really excited about that, but that totally petered out. And then I took a break for a while, and then I got some tax money back and decided to get kind of back into it. But yeah, it was that grant, that initial grant that I got, that I wanted to try to invest in a way that would, help out a little bit, and that just got me there. And honestly, it's been a break since 2012 until March, when I started doing just a shit ton of research again, and then, luckily stumbled upon Charles.
Yeah. Did you have somebody like tell you about Bitcoin, or did you happen upon that by yourself?
I just, I just found I was just researching. I think it was tied into that culture of even just like, precious metals,
Oh, okay. Just
and
something that's like
new.
you know, finite and rare, right? Just like that kind of theme.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
totally, exactly. And so yeah, so anyway, that was that. And then, like I said, I just took a break. And then this last March, just, accelerated and accelerated and accelerated. And now it's like, I'm really honestly having a hard time making my work right now. And because I'm so involved in Cardano.
mhm.
I'm also a teacher. I teach at a college in Cupertino, right next to Apple.
Okay.
And so that's kind of something that sucks some time as well. And
So that's
to
funny.
put it
You
nice.
use it like it sucks my
That's
time.
honestly, like, right now we're online, and so we're like 100% online.
Hmm.
And Clay is, like I said, it's so tactile, and also my interactions with students is
Yeah.
so like precious when I'm face to face,
Yeah.
and I like invaluable, like that connection that I have with so many students, all ages,
Hmm.
and it's just great. And now that I've been online for more than a half a year, it's just like they're just like numbers, right? Names and numbers, and I just don't have that connection. And I understand that like they need the credits and the units, and they're going through that. But I'm just not, I wouldn't choose this profession if this was what it was, but so
Is your
yeah.
subject art as well, or do you teach other subjects?
Yeah, I run the ceramics department at De Anza College, and then I'll fill in for design classes as well. Like, let's say the three-dimensional or 3D design guys on sabbatical, I'll fill in, take his classes, and help out.
Okay.
So it's basically 2D, 3D design, and in ceramics that I float.
So you said that your state pool's name is now, or at least that's your ticker. So what's the significance behind the name?
Um, well, now, I mean, for me, like now is now, it's like where to be, it's like, I guess it goes on a lot of levels, but on maybe the most silent level, now is where I want to be.
Mhm.
And breath is where I want to be. And so for me, that's really symbolic of that moment, and not thinking about like what's happened in the past or what's going to be, and like just getting, mm, you know, in the muck and mire of like, judgments and thoughts and this and that. When I can just settle down and be with my breath or just be in the now,
Mhm.
that's like, another home for me. And so kind of playing on that. And then also, like now is the time to grant artists.
Mhm.
And so then I came up with Now Grants Artists
Okay.
as my name.
No, it's great. No, I totally agree with you. And like I do that with my family as well. Like the whole now thing that you're explaining, like I tell people like just be present in the moment. Like don't think about like what you have to do tomorrow or like all those things that because tomorrow is going to be gone, like they're going to be grown, like I'm going to blink and they're going to be grown and gone, right? So like even though they drive me crazy, even though they're 6 and 8 and then they take a lot of time, I have only so much time during the day, only so much energy, but I give everything that I have until for all of my projects,
Cool.
so they do take a lot of time, but they need me and they need me to be with them, not just be like
Yeah.
here in the house, but doing my remote work or whatever. So they need that engagement. I think it's important. So I do give them a lot of my now time, so um
That's awesome. That's really cool. We both have 6-year-olds. So I have a 6-year-old boy. And yeah, I mean, there's this like style of parenting called love-based parenting or all love parenting or something like that. And I mean, I haven't delved too deep into it, but I think it's just that, like being appreciative of them being in your life, no matter how difficult it is, or the situation is, or that they're going crazy, or you can't
yeah.
do a little workout, or you can't do this because there's always something with them that you can't do.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, how am I going to recycle that into more of like not feeling so stressed out and like wrenched and that I can't do anything because of this,
Yes.
and then turning it into like, yeah, why don't you work out with me? Like get on my back and
Mhm.
let me do some push-ups or sit-ups, or like, let's go walking together and like recycle it and turn it into something that's
Oh,
very positive.
absolutely. Yeah, so like because we've
Positive
been
parenting.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been home. And so like a lot of our well, they're back at school now, like thankfully, but when they were on virtual school, we would do things together as a family. We'd go on these mile walks. 6-year-olds don't really go on mile walks, but if you give them a
Yeah.
carrot and say, I'll give you an ice cream or something at the end of the walk and then we'll come back home, then they're really enticed to go get that ice cream.
Totally.
So
For sure.
but
And
little
nothing's in it for you, right? Yeah, there's
no,
ice
no ice
cream for
cream for
you.
me. No, I need
Sure.
the exercise. They can have the ice cream. So,
Totally. So
but
you didn't ask about my shirt. I guess what that means is that it looks professional, right?
no, like it looks awesome.
Does
Like,
it
do you have a
looks
screen printer,
pro?
or did you
No.
no?
So this is something that my girlfriend and I just we did a little YouTube video. So I'm still editing. It's taking me forever. But we had fun, and there wasn't even alcohol behind it. It was just straight fun.
Mm-hmm.
And we basically, she is from Iran, and so she did her half in Farsi, and I did mine, of course, in English.
Mm-hmm.
And so she can understand me, but I can't understand her. So it's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
But she basically she cut out a template
Mm-hmm.
from just like cardstock,
Mm-hmm.
and then we went through and just painted through. So we're gonna do a video on like how to make a Cardano shirt for under $5.
Okay, that's really
Um,
cool. Yeah, I think I also paid around that for my shirt, but my friend has a screen printer and or like one of
oh,
those like
lucky you.
silhouette things. And so like
Yeah.
I had her make two shirts for me. One was for like a workout shirt and the other one was the Cardano logo. And I just put them on like my clothes that I wear to Pilates or whatever, because those are the clothes I wear all the time.
Perfect.
And so it just says like
Yeah.
Cardano with the little logo on it because I just like sent
Awesome.
her the thing and she just printed it. So I'm like, oh, it's awesome. So,
Nice. That's really cool. That's awesome.
but yeah, I didn't wear mine today. We should have coordinated it.
For sure. Next time.
um, but you were talking a little bit about like symbolic things and stuff a little bit earlier, and so I want you to kind of get into that with how you want to develop your mission for your pool. So you were talking a little bit about like your marketing strategies and whatever. Do you
Mhm.
need a screen share or anything, or are you cool with just talking?
Oh, I'm cool.
Okay.
Yeah, totally cool. So yeah, when you click on my website, you'll see uh, like core missions, symbiotic marketing, and then my endowment. And
Mhm.
so that's kind of like how I'm breaking apart and trying to explain to people what I'm doing.
Okay.
And so symbiotic marketing is basically how I'm working. I feel I'm working with Cardano hand in hand
Mhm.
to sort of disseminate that mission of Cardano, which for me is equity on a grand scale. And so as we begin to fund artists, then I'll start to deploy different marketing strategies
Mhm.
to announce our prospectus, right? Which is like, how you announce an art grant, or
Mhm.
like the different stipulations of the art show.
Mhm.
And then with that, we'll sort of organically weave the general public into the Cardano ecosystem. So
Okay.
with that, it's kind of, I feel like I'm, helping the general Cardano platform out to disseminate what we are all about and why I'm so passionate about it, as I am, creating these really cool art events.
Mhm.
And I'm also like trying to pull in the art community, which I think is, of course, underrepresented right now in like our stake pools and things like that, because why would it be represented? Uh, and so, yeah, so that's kind of what my symbiotic marketing plan is.
Mhm.
And we'll see how it goes,
Well, like I know a few stake pool operators that have like posted their art on Twitter and things. Like, but
Uh-huh.
one of them is more of a craftsman, like woodworking, and the other one is like metal, like he works with metals and things like that. So I'm like,
Yeah,
they're really cool, and they're integrating like the Daedalus logo or Cardano logos like into
that's
these
tight.
things. Huh?
That's tight. It's
Yeah, yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, I
like
want
one
to do
of
that
them
too.
is, was that?
I want to do that too. I want to, like, I have a plan for a series of Cardano pots.
Yeah.
And so I want to make like a series for every stage of development, right? And
Oh,
so
yeah.
go through, just Shelly and,
Mhm.
just kind of get going with Shelly first, and then start making some pots that kind of exemplify that sort
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
phase. And then Basho, and maybe like with Basho, maybe I do some like really large pots, and then
Mhm.
stamp in the Cardano logo and
Yeah.
just scale it out completely.
Mhm.
And Catalyst, I don't know. It's really cool. I can take the backbone of what these are, and
Mhm.
then like try to just take those and unfold them into what, how I want to represent them in a ceramics
Yeah.
piece or a
No,
form.
that's really
And then
cool.
off of that, maybe incorporate some, like, you said your woodworker friend was working with a Daedalus or metal guy, and so
Mhm.
maybe I could incorporate, a few little symbols into that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
That sounds cool.
I
Are they
think
on
all of
art?
it is just so fun. Like how like just the Cardano things are being brought to life in different ways. People have different visions and it's amazing. I love it, you know.
Totally.
Um,
They should check out art. I think it's ARTZ,
mhm.
part of that, the mission driven project. And I think if I haven't looked into it too deep, but I'm pretty sure they represent artists
Mhm.
in the Cardano community, and then try to sell their work. And then
Okay.
part of that percentage goes to them, and part of it goes to the
I
Cardano
don't know
community.
if they were wanting to sell it or if it was just a personal piece, but um,
Okay.
like
Yeah,
people.
have them check out arts, ARTZ, one of the staples.
Yeah, cool.
If they do want to sell it. Yeah.
So with your grant process, how do you want to fund the artists that are going through your project, your program?
Sure. And so I've laid out a schedule of funding, and right now we're pretty breaking even, which is great for the stake pool. And we really only have 1 million out of 64, soon to be 32
Mhm.
million max. And so right now, it's actually, just to regress a little bit, if we can get to like from 1 million to like 1.4 million, so I need like 400,000 delegated more,
Mhm.
I think I can mint a block every epoch.
Mhm.
And that'll really help out, to generate some more income for my artists.
Mhm.
And so with that, we're kind of breaking even. But the schedule is like I broke it into quarters. So like quarter one, we're just minting blocks,
Mhm.
right? And this will repeat every quarter. So
Okay.
quarter one is minting blocks, and then at end of quarter one, we'll calculate profits. And then quarter two, I'll make a call to the artists
Mhm.
for grants using the quarter one profits, whatever that figure is,
Mhm.
with an application deadline at the end of that quarter two.
Mhm.
right, from quarter 1 funds.
Mhm.
And then quarter 3 will distribute the funds. So we'll have a jurying process, pick the winners, and then quarter 3 will send those funds out.
Mhm.
Right now, I set up a GoFundMe or Go Get Funding account
Mhm.
to get this started. And so we raised about $700 to
Mhm.
get going, and bought some gift cards for a local art in Santa Cruz.
Mhm.
And I think it's just like really important for people to see actually what I'm going to do. And I
Mhm.
think that'll help to sort of, create a more inclusive environment within my stake pool to actually see what is symbiotic marketing. I just described it to you, but it's like very kind of ephemeral. Like it's not something you can grab onto. But I think once I have documentation and see the energy behind these projects and the artists and what's going on, I think people will hopefully be sort of magnetized to that
Mhm.
income. So I bought 4 gift cards. And so we have a $50 fourth place.
Mhm.
This is for the first one. This is all for quarter 1. $100 gift card, $150 gift card that would be for second place, and then a $300 gift card
Mhm.
for first place through Lens Art. So I'm
Mhm.
super stoked on that. So it's $550 or 600, and then I'll use the rest for marketing to try to get the prospectus out there, so I can get thousands and thousands of people to see what we're doing
Mhm.
with the sort of Cardano mission on that as well.
Mhm.
So that's kind of like how I'm going to raise money for that. Um, can I talk a little bit about the art, the first
You can talk
show?
about whatever you wish.
Okay, cool. Cool. So I just talked about the prizes. The theme of the art show is going to be equity. And so when the artists submit their entries of like 3 to 5 works,
Mhm.
they're going to need to submit also a short statement on what a better world looks like to them through equity.
Okay.
It's open to all Santa Cruz residents. There's no age restrictions. The competition is completely free to enter. And yeah, and so it should be pretty fun. And so I'm looking forward to getting some of the works onto my website, NOWgrantsARTISTS.com,
Mhm.
and then setting up a gallery view of the artists, and then setting up a voting system uh, whereby my Twitter followers, Telegram, YouTube, whatever, they can vote on the artists
Okay.
that they want to choose for the project. And I'm gonna weight it with like 50% my vote right now and
Mhm.
50% like social media.
Mhm.
And then as this pool starts to grow, then I can incorporate more weight towards towards the community and not towards me.
Yeah.
And that would be really fun. Kind of like what Cardano's doing right now. Like right now, I think we're
With the declining
72%.
fee parameter.
Yeah. So just kind of like phase it out like that
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really nice. Okay. So you say that there's a voting process, but how will people be voting? Like how do they submit their votes?
So I haven't nailed that down yet, but there's different polls we can do on Twitter
Mhm.
and through my website. I'll definitely set up a voting station where they can come in and get the vote in.
Mhm.
And again, since it's not so secure right now, I don't want it to be just totally weighted and an artist comes in and gets 1,000 people to vote for them, not a
Right.
thousand, but
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just kind of skew it out of proportion. So I'm going to weight it, like I said, like 50% me, 50% social media, but I'll be posting on sort of every platform I can, including my website.
Mhm.
And that might be a really nice entry point for folks that are outside of our Cardano little, you know, Twitter, what would
Yep.
it be called? Universe,
Our our
Twitterverse.
Twitterverse,
You
our
know,
Twitter
we're
echo
very
chamber.
insulated in Twitter. It's like the same
Yeah.
people,
Yep.
and it's beautiful. It's beautiful, but it's like very insular. And so if I can get people from the general public to go to the website
Mhm.
and use that as a polling station, and then from there they can start to sort of see what we're about and what Cardano's about, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
So yeah.
So did you touch on the endowment process as well? Like that was a lot for me to.
Yeah, I can tie that in right now. And so with the endowment, is I'm thinking about Cardano long term,
Uh-huh.
and so which is kind of hard because like everything is so immediate right now. But I do believe Cardano is going to be around for 50 years or longer. I think they have just too strong of a platform to just kind of fizzle out. And so with that, $20 to me seems like pretty reasonable within 10 years. And when ADA hits $20 for every dollar after that it goes up, I will give one more percentage of my, of my profits to Now Grants Artists grants.
Okay.
So between $20 and $70, that's like a $50, and then that would also be 50%. So starting out, I'm already giving 50% of my profits to art organizations, but then by the time we get to $70, maybe it's 20 years, maybe it's 25 years, maybe it's 30 years, whatever, then I will be sort of decentralized in a way where hopefully I've set up at that point a voting platform that doesn't need me, and that through the funds that we're generating, I can hire marketers and for PR and someone to do initial sort of intake of all the applications, things like that. And then whatever's left over would go to, again, to disseminate to these art organizations, and hopefully on a much bigger scale. And at that point, Now Grants Artists will shed Rocky into what it is. Similar in such a beautiful concept that Charles has, right? With like, having Cardano shed him, knowing that, greed is a fucker. It can take a hold of you. And I don't think he's at that point right now, but he's acknowledging that it could get there. And so how are you going to shed Charles of this massive, company and pedestal, And so, that was pretty inspiring for the way I set this up too, that like, I don't want it to be me, going forward. And fuck, dude, like if ADA is $50, that's like a lot of money, for those of us who are getting in right now. It's a ton of money. Like I only need so much, I want like a piece of land and like an earth home and a pottery studio and a wood kiln to fire my pots in. And I want to like go hiking around the world. Like you don't need like $100,000 million to do that. And so with that, hopefully this is very successful. Hopefully the price of ADA goes up like exponentially. And, hopefully this just kind of like operates on its own after that.
Yeah. No, yes, that's awesome. That's really good. That's a really good vision. And like I would say, like, don't limit yourself. Like just keep dreaming like what could be possible. Just so yeah, but no, I like your vision too. Like it's simple, but it's also like bigger than what you're currently probably had your dream before. So you've expanded,
Yeah, totally. It's just organic. It's like I'm not forcing it. It's just happening this way, it's unfolding this way, and this snowball sort of turning over and over and over, and it's fun. It's super fun.
Yeah. So with that, like how do you want to see like Cardano as like adopted into the world? Like what are the use cases that you want to see in your line, in your world of like art?
So definitely we got to zoom out a little bit and kind of look at the macro perspective of Cardano. And of course, like their mission of financing the undeveloped world, banking the unbanked, establishing identity for property rights who don't have documentation, or as was spoken earlier, let's say your documentation for your property and your identity is in some like handwritten note in some random place that can burn down. So to concretize that is pretty important, to give people that identity. And so basically, to me, that says that Cardano is willing, or not willing, but wants to provide a stool for those who need a little help to stand up. And I think that's really cool, speaking of equity. And I always bring it back to equity, as a core mission for me, and how I interpret Cardano to be. In America, we also have like, a lot of, disparities, right? So people are really suffering here, that we don't have any money, and the cost of living is outrageous. We passed this stimulus, the first one in, I think it was April, and we did get some money, like $1,200. but a lot of the money went to what's called like a slush fund. It was $500 billion slush fund. And that's for corporations basically to do whatever the hell they want, you know. A lot of this goes to military, it goes to bailouts for corporations, and sort of interest on debt. And so anyway, yeah, so it's not me that's benefiting really from, you know, taxes. I just have to pay for them. And so with this, you know, I don't feel that there's an alignment right now. And I'm not sure how it is in the rest of the world as much as America, but it doesn't feel balanced. And with that, I read an interesting stat. It was in 1964, the average working wage was $20.27. So the average hourly wage was $20.27. That was 56 years ago. And today, the average wage per hour is just over $25. And so that gives you a buying power of about $2.50 right now compared to 1964. And that is like insane to me, you know, that we have this, you know, we don't have buying power. We're like the analogy of the frog that's in warm water that's slowly starting to heat up and heat up and heat up. And then it never jumps out and then it dies because it's too hot. Right. And so we see this cost of living disparity that's just slowly heating up, slowly heating up. We just acclimate. And then we're gone. We're dead. We can't get out of it. Whereas if you throw a frog into boiling water, they're just going to jump out and they're going to be okay. You know, and I think it almost is getting to that point right now. Honestly, it's been heated up and then it's getting cranked on that. Since 1980, education's gone up 4 times. Home prices in California, where I live, has gone up 10 times since 1980. It's just completely outrageous. So anyway, I think that Now Grants Artists can help chip away at that a little bit, at that disparity, by setting up this endowment and trying to get folks money that need money, really money in their pocket, and art supplies that don't have it. And yeah, and hopefully, you know, we'll be a model going forward for other stake pools and for other corporations in general, just to kind of reevaluate, what do you need in life? Like, that's a great question, I think, for those of us that got into ADA early. And, you know, we have to exit at some point in terms of finances. And so, like, what is that exit point really? Like, what do you need in life at what different stages, right? So like for me, like I want to pay off my debt, you know, credit card debt, things like that. And that's like phase 1, you know, and then phase 2 would be like, you know, I'm in like an apartment right now. I've got family around me, which is great, but I want land, you know, I want some land and build a little earth home on it. And that's phase 2, you know, and then like phase 3, I want to retire from my job. I love it. I love working face to face with my students, but also I think I can have more of an impact on the world in other mediums, in other directions. And so I want to really give my energy to what life is offering in that regards. And so we have these kind of like exit points of where we want to be, and how we want to sort of navigate that structure. So anyway, you know, hopefully the corporate world sees that and is driven to sort of kind of make better choices and create a little bit more equity and not have as much greed, you know.
No, I think that's good. It's good that you have a definition for your pool and you have a goal for what you want to see, short term and long term. So I think that's great. I wish you all the luck on your project.
That's cool. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you doing with your with Dead?
It's
Do you
good.
feel good?
Yep. No, we're pretty good, pretty stable. You know, ready for the upcoming changes in March with the drop in saturation level. I have a
Yeah.
lot of questions from my my pool. We're very open and very chatty in my pool family group that we have. So they're concerned about saturation. Like, am I going to open a second pool? And like honestly, I even made a Twitter post about it. I said, I do wish to see other smaller pools rise up before I open a second pool, even if even if it makes my pool saturated. Like, I hope that the ones that have been with me will stay. But I hope that we don't get oversaturated because then it makes people nervous and of course diminishing rewards. But
Sure.
I will prepare for the second pool because it's unwise not to be prepared for all scenarios. But
Yeah.
I don't want to open it out of greed, because there's others who need support before I have a second one, you know. So so I
Cool.
will continue to you know, advocate for the smaller ones, or you know, try to help push stake out to the others before attracting it to myself, you know. So
Great.
that's what I want. um,
Fantastic. Yeah.
so I mean, it sounds weird. I don't want to say that word weird, but it sounds like kind of counterintuitive when you're trying to work a business. You're like, well, it's my business, and my business is you know, capped here, so it makes sense to open up another storefront. It's like, well, yes and no, you know.
Sure.
So there's different perspectives and different arguments. So, but this is just the path I've chosen. So, um,
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's getting you to not only look at a business plan and a business model, but also go into you, right? And see,
mhm,
like, what do you want for the Cardano, the general ecosystem?
mhm,
What does decentralization mean on the whole scale, the greater
mhm,
scale? How you fit into that, how you play into that.
mhm,
There's so many questions that this is going to bring up that really makes you go inside and think about who you are as a person, what you want,
right.
how in, you know, are you more community driven? You want others to succeed in that
Mhm,
vein. Um, and yeah, I think, you know, it's really going to change. We're at the very beginning, so everything is
mhm,
fluctuating so fast
yep,
that, you know, in 10 years, there's not going to be 1,400 stake pools.
right.
You know, probably going to be like 100,000 stake pools,
Mhm.
you
Well,
know,
like
and so
I feel like right now there's a lot because it is so young and so new, and because people are not only on Twitter or only on Reddit and things like that, and there's actually a lot of people who don't know about staking at all, and they keep their ADA or other coins on the exchange, and so there's a lot of education that needs to be put
yeah.
out, and I think it's kind of an unnecessary burden for SPOs, you know, stake pool operators, to have to deliver that. So I think that, you know, Cardano Foundation is developing educational content for that. Spokra, I think, is also working on that. So
Mhm.
little things like that that will take a little bit of the pressure off of stake pool operators alone to educate, you know, ADA holders. So that will be good. And I had a point and I kind of forgot it, but basically, basically,
Yeah, I totally get
my
it.
what I want
Education
is
is
to
key.
continue to help people understand Cardano, answer those questions. There's the same questions over and over again, but they're new people, so I don't mind answering them again for them. You know, like what is staking? What do we do with how do we do the Binance to wallet? Like, how
Right.
does that whole thing work? And it's a little bit
Sure.
of hand holding, but everybody needs it in the beginning. I mean, I like you came in March time not knowing anything about cryptocurrency, and so the way that I learn is totally just diving in head first, hands in all hands, like just learning and doing, right? So it was a lot of reading, a lot of just trying to understand what is blockchain from the ground up, you know. And so then I just taught myself how to do a few things, and then I asked community members, like, how do I do things? And so I got a lot of help from the community as well. And then we have Deadpool. So
Yeah.
I just kind of
Love
feel
that.
it's my also nature to help people. So like I got help from the community. I want to pay it forward and help new people, whether it's building their stake pool or just learning about staking in general or Cardano in general. So that's what I do, you know. So
Fantastic. That's really cool. And like, you know, like we said, in 10 years, it's going to be totally different, you know, and
mhm,
like, you know, just the education of finances
mhm,
for college students, high school students. Crypto is not going to be, you know, some random unattainable farce. It's
mhm,
just going to be the way it is in
mhm,
blockchain technology. And
mhm,
so that will get incorporated earlier and earlier and earlier, and it'll just be a way of life,
mhm.
you know, including like gaming. You
Yep.
know, I'm not a gamer, but I know that that's, you know, blockchain is really imbued in that ecosystem,
Mhm,
in terms of like even just like purchasing skins and things like that.
mhm,
My son, you know, he's 6, as I say, he's into Minecraft right now, like
mhm,
crazy. And so he's like building all kinds of like creative things on Minecraft. And I know that there's like a lot of opportunity for gaming to incorporate into blockchain. And so he's 6 and he's starting to understand a little bit more than, a lot of people what's going on in
Mhm.
terms of that, those finances and whatnot. So I think, in the next 10, 20 years, we won't have to hold hands, but it's so invaluable what you're doing, and taking that extra time right now just to sort of, you know, um, sort of cross pollinate, as you
Mhm.
will, with a different environment in the general public
Mhm.
of our knowledge.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah. In the beginning, I put the description of my channel like just being a small gateway from like normal to crypto space, like just small, very small, but I try.
Awesome. Baby steps.
So, um,
Cool.
but yeah, that's what I try. And yeah, like other than that, like we're just trying to be like the most authentic self, right? Like
Mhm.
pretty much I don't say things or do things that I wouldn't advise for myself or my kids or like whatever. So I try to be like just real, like I don't know
Yeah.
how else to really say it. um
Cool. I mean, it's great. I think you mentioned earlier, like, which I really appreciate you having me on the show so that people can kind of put, a person, an idea, a thought process behind the stake pool.
mhm.
And so, yeah, I really
Well,
appreciate that.
it's just how people make connections, right? Just if
Mhm.
you take a moment and be a little bit empathetic towards how people function, they don't connect like you say with your kids. Like it does, you don't connect with just numbers and words. You connect with a sentiment, a face, what their purpose driving them is. Like that's what you connect with. You don't just connect with their website. So I think it's important to give people a little bit of a platform so they can explain and tell their story, and then just connect with people.
Awesome. If I could, I'll just give one little plug to sort of an alliance that I'm with,
Hmm.
it's called Mission Driven Pools. I'm sure
Hmm.
you've maybe heard of it now.
Hmm.
But we have a website, missiondrivenpools.org,
Hmm.
and it's like growing out of control. There's well over 25 members now,
Hmm.
and they're all pools that have purpose
Hmm.
and community purpose, eco purpose, whatever.
Hmm.
But I think it's really cool, to see those sort of populate in our environment of Cardano.
Hmm.
Um, and again, like people will form an attachment to those driven pools, right? And it's a way to really
Yeah.
incorporate people from out there who don't know anything about it through the conduit of whatever that purpose is.
Hmm.
And so I think it's really important, that we kind of, share that and be a part of that and, appreciate what's going on with that. And hopefully, again, it can influence, the direction of, corporate America, corporate world,
Hmm.
and even just like, stake pools.
Yep.
It's great. It's just really good. I've met so many people, like you and Alfred from, Hotel Cardano, and there's this guy Van who I just met. Oh God, I already forgot his projects. But anyway, he's just doing incredible work, like organizing really cool pools and getting them together, and there's different alliances popping up.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of communities like being kind of like pulling together within the larger ecosystem, and so I think that's great to see. Also, just like more than just like them building these alliances, but it's just more camaraderie building and more people just kind of like aligned with the same sort of like core purpose that they want to see a better future. Um,
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
that's what like kind of bonds us all together. Like we're not here because of pure greed. It
yeah,
I don't feel like I'm being greed driven by this.
yeah,
Because it takes a lot of time to do all the things that we do. And so just to have like greed in the forefront is just kind of, I don't think that's how most of us are. So um but like
yeah,
but
yeah,
but like what
totally.
I
And
what I
also,
want also is I want to continue to support the ones that I keep seeing kind of not get the attention that they deserve, and they're like the developers in the community that I
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
how they're getting overlooked, but I don't want them to go away, because if they go away, then Cardano will struggle because they're developing things for the project, and I'm sure they'll continue to develop, but it's like it'll just make them stronger if their pool and stuff like thrives as well, you know. So
Most
um,
definitely.
so I try to support like all those people, and it's like, oh, come on, guys.
So give me three pools that like right now need a little love.
Like One Love Pool. Um,
No, three loves. Three loves. No, I'm just kidding.
his full name is One
Just
Love.
kidding.
um, what's another one? I think is it RDLT? I think, but he doesn't come on Twitter. He's on Telegram a lot, and he's really awesome. Um,
Nice.
what's another one? um like Zoe Pool just got a lot of attention because we did that community rally for her.
Nice.
That was really nice.
Yeah. And then she got the grant from IOHK,
Yes,
right?
yeah, that was awesome
That's
too.
awesome. So stoked for her.
Yeah, so
That's
I really
fantastic.
hope that she succeeds because she's doing a lot of like teaching and sharing in Africa, in Nigeria. So I really want her to succeed because of Cardano's like heart mission in Africa too, you know. So
Yeah.
um, and I want
It's the
Africa to have more pools. And so if she can teach more people about it, then we can have more pools in Africa, and it'll just make it stronger. So that would be good too. I just did an interview with Dopo Pool, and he's one of the leaders in like the Hispanic community, and so I would like to see them thrive as well because the South America and like in general Hispanic community, they are not as well funded, I guess. And so it's hard for them to keep their pools running and stuff. And then the education content in Spanish is lacking. And so what he's doing with translations and things is awesome to help those like Spanish. So um,
fantastic.
but yeah, there's so many. I can't even name them all, but like
Yeah. Yeah,
but
it's exciting. Just that connection, is really cool. From all around the world, just people that you resonate with, and they resonate with you,
mhm.
and you form that bond, and uh, it's just awesome. It's a really cool community.
Yes, yes.
Like proud to be a Cardonian.
Yeah.
Cardanian. Yeah.
It almost sounds like Kardashian, Cardonian.
Yeah.
No, no, it is good. I love the community. I say it all the time in my tweets. That like it's so different. Like I go and visit other communities, kind of just to kind of expand my knowledge of crypto space because, like I said, I was really just tunnel vision on Cardano. But there are other good projects out there, but I'm still super like bullish on Cardano. So
Yeah, I'm 100% bullish on him. Like I honestly, there's another dude, or not another dude, but somebody I listen to in the morning. Maybe two days out of five. Crypto and Coffee.
mhm,
His name is Nick Black, and he's on for about an hour and does a really cool, again, like macro perspective on economics in general.
mhm,
And one of the things he talks about is just like reevaluating your assets every 3 months.
mhm,
Like really getting into the core of what you're supporting and if their value is still worth what you invested in originally.
mhm,
And it just gets better and better and better. Like I was excited 3 months ago. I'm like 10 times more excited now.
mhm,
It just keeps going. And I don't want to put any money in any other project. I just
mhm,
don't. Like I don't feel connected to any of them. And like on a deeper level, so supporting this project,
mhm.
every penny counts, and so I just, yeah, I'm like all in.
Yeah.
I
I
know it's
feel like
stupid, like just financially, they say diversify, 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 but like I don't want to diversify,
no,
this is what I
no, that's
love,
totally fine. For me, like the only one that I've given any attention to, and by far not as much invested into it as I am with Cardano, but it's Icon. And the only reason why is because it pulls at my Korean roots because it's a Korean blockchain. And
Cool.
it is being successful, and they're actually integrating that blockchain into government projects. And so they are progressing, and it's great to watch them. And so I got into it really late, but I've been watching them for a while, but I didn't buy any of it because I was just so like really focused on like getting ADA and building my pool and everything. So I was like, oh yeah, Icon's doing really great. I'm gonna do that. And then it's just been on the back burner. And
Yeah.
as it's been on the back burner, it's gained like double its value since I first saw it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll get some now, you know. So it's
Cardano's not doing bad either, you know.
no, it's doing great, and I'm sure it's gonna do just like what Icon is doing. As soon as it gets some good deals and partnerships, and it'll integrate. You mentioned like it may phase out, not phase out, but Cardano will be around for a while, but eventually may phase out. And I don't feel like it will because I feel like it's making some really good partnerships and
Mhm.
good relationships with companies and institutions where it will be integrated so that it won't phase out. But it may not be like a standalone thing on its own. It may like spread into other things, and so it'll be part of many instead of like just one core. You know, so
Totally.
yeah.
Did you hear about the in the country of Georgia, they were talking about, I think it was Charles, he was talking about, putting every degree and transcript from colleges, universities onto blockchain. Have you heard about
I
that?
haven't heard it, but I know that that is a thing that can be done. And when
Yeah, it's really,
I was
it's awesome. And
watching
it's like
things
that.
about Prism, that's one of the things that they want to do with that. So,
Nice. And so
um,
it's like, yeah, so just expanding into so many different
mhm,
facets, right?
mhm,
And once they finger out into everything, it's kind of like roots of trees
right,
spanning out and
exactly.
underground. They're all interconnected.
Hmm.
And so once you grab a hold and start connecting to all these, different entities,
Hmm.
it's going to be really hard to push that tree over,
Yep.
and it's really cool. We're just at the very beginning of like growing out these Cardano roots.
Hmm.
And in another sort of not as nice way, I heard somebody say that like Cardano is very cannibalistic and that they're just going to eat up everything, and yeah, I could
Well,
see it. We talk about partnerships,
mhm,
but there's a lot of things that Cardano is going to do better, and
mhm.
they're going to eat them up.
That's what I was gonna say.
Uh,
Like, it's not about like cannibalizing them. It's about they. That's, I mean,
Don't use
that's
a nice
very very
word.
aggressive. But I don't think that
Really
they
yucky
set
these
out with
days,
the
but I'll say
intent of like. I don't think that they set out with the intention to destroy. I think they set out with the
that.
intention of doing good. And with his experience with Ethereum and other projects, he saw the flaws, and so he built
Yeah,
beyond those flaws, right? And so
definitely.
from the beginning, and so it's taken a while to get there, but he has that Cardano has a great foundation and has already bypassed those holes that other projects are patching, you know. So
Sure.
from there they just grow stronger because their projects will build on it, they'll integrate into other systems, and it's just like you say, it's going to be a really strong rooted system. So
Yeah, most definitely.
but yeah, yeah,
Well,
we could
thanks.
talk about this forever.
Yeah, I know, totally. It's just great. I love just rapping about it, just on and on. My family is probably a little bit tired, but
Mhm,
it's for the friends in Cardano, it's just
mhm,
I wake up and I turn on like see what if Charles has said anything, go onto Twitter, look at little Cardano. It's like a way I start my morning now. It's just
mhm.
embedded.
Morning routine. I'm the same way. Like I open
I
my
gotta,
Twitter and I have
pull
so many.
back. I gotta pull back from Twitter. It's
Yeah.
just too much. Like, it's I got to get away from it. Not like fully, but I just need to moderate a little bit because I get
Mhm,
so into it and like it's just too much. It's
mhm.
not too much. Like I love it, but at the same time, I got to balance out a little bit.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
going to be an ongoing
Yeah, I
situation
always
for the
preach
years.
about balance. Like I'm pretty good at moderating my time. I have a lot going on, so I'm almost like forced to. But like you say, the
Uh,
morning routine, like I check my messages, whether and it's all the messages. It's on all the platforms. I check all the messages, but then the phone goes away and I do my work.
yeah,
The kids have their morning routine, so I got to get them ready and off to school,
yeah,
and then it's my work time. And then like every once in a while, I'll take a mind break and then go walk around and check my other messages and then go back to work. So there's these like the blocks of time that I allow myself to kind of like unplug from this and plug into this. But like if there's too
yeah.
much going on at one time, you like overwhelm your senses, right? And so then you get tired or it's just too much. And so it's better to for me to segment my time and do certain things in certain times and not try and do everything at one time. So
Great. I need to take that advice.
yeah. And so for
Yeah.
me, it's very natural. And so to talk about it with other people who don't understand it, or they don't do it normally, and they're just like, I don't know how you do that. And I'm like, I don't know how not to do it, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like,
Well, it's good. When doors open easy,
mhm,
then you're in the right spot. And that's how I've lived a lot of my life, at least trying to listen to those doors, and really see when I'm swimming or when I'm floating upstream, it's very difficult, and when I'm going downstream.
mhm, mhm,
And, learning to listen to you as what you need as as an individual or your soul,
mhm.
you know, being able to listen to that is going to make your life so much easier because you're not going to fight,
Yes.
and in projects like this, like a lot of people, they're not going to get into it, or it's strictly an investment, which is great.
Mhm,
But it feels right now like I'm floating downstream, and
mhm,
it's really easy, I think it's going to lead to a good path, because pretty much everything that I've done, these major choices and transitions, they, knock on wood, have kind of like, they worked out, and you just have to trust, and intuit that this situation feels good in your heart, and then you let it roll,
mhm.
and that's exciting too, right? Too, because you don't have control. It's like a dialogue with life, and you're not just telling life how you're going to navigate, but you're having a fluid dialogue and listening. And that's kind of fun to just give up a part of yourself for that,
Mhm.
and sort of put that faith in that dialogue that it's going to work out. And it seems for me, like I said, luckily it has a little bit, not all of
Yeah.
it, but some of it, most of it.
No, I think it's really great. Um, but like, but yeah, I think that we can ramble on and talk about this
For
forever
sure.
because we're so passionate about it. But I think it's a really good spot to kind of like wrap up. Um,
Cool.
and I would like you to send me like all of the details to the grant project that you're putting together, so that people can see it, and links to all the things like your socials and your website, so that people can find
Great.
out more information about you and your pool, and the Artist Now program as well. So yeah,
Fantastic. Well, thanks for having me. It's a really, honor to be on your show, and just stoked to find another friend in the community.
yeah, it's always great to meet new people. I love doing this, and I'm happy to do it. So thank you so much for your time and coming. So, all
All right. Thanks.
right, we'll
Have a
see
good
you
night.
next time. Okay, bye.